Hi guys, I'm Cassidy here, and we have a late night review for you. This one we actually have requested to us from one of my earlier videos, and I actually have a guest with me today. This is Mrs. Cassidy, or Airroach, by her YouTube channel name. Say something.
It's not really that late out, it's actually like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, early darkness. It happens in the Northern Hemisphere. Okay, so requested to us, because what movie was I complaining about? Did we get this request from?
It wasn't Hidalgo, it was...
No.
Oh, no, it wasn't from
Well,
I can't remember.
Either way, I made a reference that, that a different movie series, or a lot of movie series that have become adaptations in this day and age, especially for like anime and stuff, have come back to M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender. Now, right off the bat, we have to call it The Last Airbender because he thought that it would be genius to avoid using Avatar at all because of James Cameron. And I've said this on YouTube already. Fuck James Cameron. It's Avatar The Last Airbender, not your shitty, you know, Fern Gully ripoff. But that's just me. So, basically, we decided to go on a whim, rent the movie again, torture ourselves sitting here on the couch, you know, literally beating our brains in, watching this movie, which we're going to go play by play for you guys tonight. And, It hurts us probably more than it might you, but...
Well, okay, so my first experience with this movie, for those of you who don't know, I'm in the military, and when I was in tech school, which is like our kind of second stage of training where you're not being screamed at all the time, I went to go see this movie because that's when it first came out. So I went with a few of my friends, but they weren't really familiar with the show, so I had like my heart really set on this, like this was going to be a good movie, or at least I hope it would be decent. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I really hope this isn't as bad as Dragon Ball. Well, as I sat in the theater by myself, practically, I felt so very alone. I was just torn apart and angry at this piece of shit that was being thrown at me. I mean, I know a lot of people complain about the whitewash and the mispronunciation of the names and just the outright butchering of the series, but the second time I watched this, I realized there's a lot more to complain about than just that. Even just little things that just so unnecessary and just ruin it. Ugh, it's horrible.
Yes, as far as my experience goes, a little bit shorter. I got to see this with a good friend. We had the theater to ourselves. There was one other guy there, and we yelled at that movie. It turns out me and my friend had a lot of fun making fun of this movie. Now, as adaptations go, it's shit. It's
even bad just as a movie.
Right.
Period. Right,
and that's where I had fun with sometimes. But, I mean, I must have been some version of high because I was not as bogged down with this movie. I saw it twice. It is embarrassing. I paid full price for the first viewing and then went to the cheap theater. So,
You paid full price?
Yeah, I did. I kind of feel dirty, like I kind of got raped at an amusement park, so... Yeah, I suffered for that later. So, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go play by play tonight, and we're gonna try to talk about as much... something new. We're gonna try to bring something new to the table. We're not gonna be going over the same things that people have complained over again, because this movie's been out for 4 years now. And if you don't know already, then you can probably just...
Oh, wait. Sorry, I was wrong. Not 4 years. It's only been out since 2010. Sorry.
2 years. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
My resource,
hey,
everyone.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so this movie's only been out for 2 years, but everyone's already said a buttload. And if you want the short version, bottom line right now, go watch the animation. Just do it. It's so much better. It's...
The way that the movie handles the source material is just disrespectful. I mean, again, I'm not going to try and go on about the names and the whitewash, but just like the characters that they're butchered, just outright. Everybody's so boring and so serious. And like Aang or Ong, he looks like he's gonna cry in every scene.
Right.
Every scene.
and you have so much life when it comes to the animation. You actually have characters that you like. You actually have a story that spans over so many episodes. It may take a while, but how many episodes is it? Like 50...
61.
61 episodes. And you get a buttload of a better story than Shyamalan's piece of shit that he probably got off of, you know, just gazing, like, grazing over the original series.
I feel like he got all of his information from fanfics or something.
Yeah. Basically, the movie is a retcon of what the original Last Airbender is. I'm the original Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Well, and I get it. It's the first season is like 30 hours of animation. You're gonna miss stuff. You're gonna have to cut some things out. I get that. But maybe that's my point. Maybe it shouldn't have been made into a movie. I mean, it's fine the way it is. There was no need for live action to begin with, really, because the series itself is just so beautiful and so, you know, it's just better.
There's a lot of love. There's a lot of love with the original cartoon. So, we'll leave it at that. That was probably one of the biggest things that moviegoers couldn't get into with The Last Airbender. So, let's get this thing on a roll and actually talk about what happened during the movie. So, we open up, and in reference of sort of throwing in your face like, this is based off of a cartoon series. Cat's going crazy. This is based off a cartoon series. The red curtain opening, like, done much better, you know, in the cartoon. But you basically have, like, each martial artist, if you will, as a normal moviegoer, sort of do this funky thing in front of a red curtain describing nothing because there's no voiceover yet. That comes after. They give you a paragraph of dialogue in which one of our main protagonists, Katara, a water tribe resident girl who happens to be a waterbender. And she's out on the ice trying to pull off this stupid little, like, a giant water orb trick. It's actually not...
Well, actually, hey, let me back you up for a second. So, the whole red curtain thing, they're introducing all the elements and they're giving us their exposition. Which, again, in the show, they kind of do just like, you know, this is the Avatar, this is what he does, this is his job, and then the Fire Nation attacked. And, oh shit, went down. But it's like in the movie, you don't see anything while she's explaining it. You just get this, she starts talking to you, just get this long dialogue written, like subtitles telling you, you know, everything that, like, it's just...
Like, they have the caption going, and then they have her speaking over it. Like, just in case you didn't get it, like, just in case you're blind, or just in case you're deaf, you can enjoy this movie in all aspects.
In this movie, you'd be lucky to be either.
I have to agree with that one.
Yeah. So Katara and Sokka are
they're on an ice field because as teenagers with nothing else to do, they don't have a mall to go to, so, I mean,
So they're hanging out in their really fake-looking South Pole.
Yeah, like, you can tell that this is mostly a soundstage. Like, most of the background is kind of shitty, like, really flimsy. And Sokka, being the man, has to go hunting because he was taught by his father. Katara's just there because she was there in the show. This is where things get off on the wrong foot. Literally in this movie, they don't want to give Katara any possibility.
She does nothing in this movie except talk.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all she does.
Because then we get to the next part in the ice field. Sokka like a dumbass because, as, you know, a water tribe people by the ocean, you would think they'd get most of their meat from fish. But Sokka, he thinks a step ahead and goes for seals. The seals that haven't been around for the entire movie because there are only five at most animals in this movie.
Yeah, they're not.
But they do come across a glowing giant orb.
No. Actually, they just came across. They're looking down on the floor and they see, or the ground, and they see this giant glowingness. And Sokka's like, I think I'll just chip that away while we're standing on top of the ice. That won't end badly. And of course, this giant orb floats to the surface.
Yeah.
And Katara they don't even really see a person in there, because that was the point in the series. They saw a person inside the ice, so she wanted to break it open. But they just kind of see this glowing light, and like a dumbass, she just grabs Sokka's boomerang, and she's like, eh.
Like, honestly, like, she goes up to it, like, Sokka yells out, and by the way, Sokka in this movie is the same guy who played Harpo in Twilight, which you probably already know.
His name's not Harpo in Twilight, it's Jasper.
Harpo's funny, but so he just sort of like looks over and he's just like, Katara, don't! And Katara's just sort of standing there just like, boom! Like, blasted the fuck back when the giant ice sphere opens. And we find what appears to want to be Aang's trusted pet, Appa.
Which I'm surprised they didn't call him Opa.
Oh, I know, right? Mispronunciation everywhere, but
yeah.
You probably already know. And Appa has one of the worst designs, like, ever in this movie. Like, Appa's face is completely lacking of all cartoon, like, charm. He wasn't supposed to be a cute creature.
No, he was a bison. A flying bison.
Right, but instead, in this movie, they give Appa, this flying bison with 6 legs, massive horns and shit. They give him the most disgusting face that CG can produce, and this was 2010. You guys have no excuses for this shit. Like, not to mention, did they even give him a nose? Like, they didn't even give him
They did, but it just looks so weird.
Yeah, like, they almost gave him the Voldemort nose. That's what I think. Like, if there were, like, slits in his face, they didn't, like...
But he's barely in the movie. And like, in the show, he was, like, their main transportation. That's how they got everywhere, was Appa.
Right.
And he's, like, hardly in the movie at all, which, for good reason, because he looks like ass.
Right. And, again, he only gets a few scenes. He flies in, he flies out. He flies in, he roars, he flies out. That's about it. That's the whole movie for Appa. Okay. And they find this 12-year-old inside, and he is Ong. Originally, Aang, but they call him Ong in this movie. You got a little tone of, of defeat right there. Ong. Sorry,
anyway, this is what I'm talking about with little things. Like, his tattoos, for example, they look like henna tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
And
really shitty tribal tattoos.
And I mean, in the cartoon, they couldn't have made it simpler. They're just straight up blue, cause
it's a cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, how do you fuck that up? And not only that, but later on in the movie, he says, "Oh, to get these tattoos, you have to meditate, and some monks can meditate for 4 days." And like, no, you don't get them for meditating. Like, just I don't know, just little things.
Right, I agree with the little things here because there's another thing. No one's funny.
Mess it up.
No one is funny in this movie. Sokka, the comic relief of the show, played by Harpo, is not funny at all.
Jasper.
Whatever. I don't care. He's not, like, there's nothing to like about him. He's just this... I will explain, but we'll get to the character later. We're gonna go on a rant about the whole dialogue of this movie later.
Oh yeah,
but
it's a piece of work.
Sokka's not funny. Katara is bland. Aang is never happy. These are the little things, right?
Yeah, I mean, Aang was still a kid. I mean, he was 12 years old, practically. And, you know, he still made mistakes and laughed and had fun while he was, you know, doing his job being the Avatar. You know, he didn't take things so seriously unless it was necessary.
However, it is displaced, though, because once they get back, they take Aang and Appa back to their village, and as Ong is just putting on his robes, you know, he just sort of turns around to Katara and is like, "Oh yeah, I ran away from home. It was awesome."
Yeah, like, that wasn't an emotional turmoil
experience. Something that had to be revealed about 8 episodes into the TV show, because, you know, he sort of it led to the mutilation of his people.
Yeah.
Because he knew it. Everyone knows by then, but... Okay.
Oh yeah, these characters are really fucking slow, too. Like, they are dense as shit.
Right.
Like,
I think it's about time that we get into the dialogue of everything here.
Yeah, like, they don't find out he's the Avatar, like...
Okay, so... One of the bigger problems to avoid this movie for is that, as people have said, it's cramming a lot of exposition. And by cramming, from us watching it now, that's the entire script. There's nothing to like about anyone because they're all going in about exposition. Every line is a who, what, when, and where, and why kind of thing. There's no point where we take a break and appreciate what we like in our character. There's no moments where
no development.
No development. There's nothing that nothing that like helps us get into anyone. Nothing's funny. Nothing is ever like, let's take a break from the reality of it. I mean, sure, it's a serious role. You have to save a nation, an entire population, and defeat one guy. Then why did the show have to do it better than this? Like, as a movie, a smile is rare. It really is.
Yeah.
So, basically, with Aang's awakening, a Fire Nation ship comes by. They raid the little village, and they're trying to take all the old people because because they know that the Avatar has been missing for 100 years, so they think it's an old person
hiding in the water. Oh, because they saw the light. Never mind.
Right.
Yeah.
So they start collecting old people, and it's really insulting because most of these old people are like in their 60s, maybe.
They don't even look like they're 100.
Like if you're 100, you ain't walking, especially.
Well, I mean, in their universe, being 100 isn't necessarily an inconvenience.
Not in Shalom universe.
Well, no, but I just mean
whatever.
Anyway.
Anyways, they find Aang because it's fucking obvious. He has a tattoo on his forehead. No hiding cloaks for that. So they end up getting him, and this is when Zuko comes in.
Oh god.
Now Zuko's actor is you might be able to familiarize with this. You might be able to remember this if you've seen Snow White with Kristen Stewart and Charlize Theron, who plays the Queen. That is what she and Zuko's character have in common, because sometimes they talk really quiet like this and it's intense, and then they scream when they want something done, and it's chewing scenery at its mediocre.
Another problem we had was that Zuko's scar, one of the most significant and defining things about him, is so you can barely see it.
Oh yeah, and Zuko's hair, it's short. God. Now, you probably wouldn't know this, but yeah, it's a really important, I mean, it looks dorky, but it's a very important piece in the show.
And it becomes important later. It's because it's so symbolic when he cuts his hair. And it's,
Okay, alright.
I'm sorry.
The point that we make here is that they very, very faintly put any effort into making homage to the original source. Zuko is completely unlike who he is, who we identify him as.
They don't, none of the characters look like themselves, they don't act like themselves, just...
So, as fans, why the hell do we care? Now, as new people watching this, I mean, I'm sorry that I can't really give you much more point of view as someone watching this for the first time, but you wouldn't be watching this for the first time if you didn't know what the fuck the material was about. Like, if you were a new person going into this movie and saw this asshole, like, what? Why should you care? Why should you care about him? Why should you care about Aang? You don't know what the fuck's going on, so... Alright, I'm gonna make a note right here. If you haven't seen the movie, and you want to watch this for fun, go ahead, but if you might be lost on a few things. Yeah. But, we'll talk more also to those who have seen this movie, and we know that a lot of you have. Okay, so Zuko, in his rage, takes Aang onto his ship.
Oh yeah, and they do this really dumb test to see if he's the Avatar.
Yeah, so they get him on the ship, and Iroh comes up, and guess what? General Iroh has dreads now. It was pretty cool. Like, seriously, me and my friend in the theater, like, every time he came on, we're just like, what's up, dreads? Like, it was nuts. Why would you give Iroh dreadlocks?
He was also Russian, apparently.
He had this very faint, weird dialect.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. So, and then while that's going on, Grandma back at the Ice Tribe over there, she's giving exposition like a motherfucker, and you can't even catch up. Like, you don't even give a shit. Like, it's
she
so bad. She busts
out this map, and she's like, alright.
I know, busts out this map that was basically taken from the TV show, except someone wiped their ass all over it. And, like, she's just saying, like, he might be the Avatar.
We're not sure.
No shit! You haven't seen the Avatar in 100 years, and you find the last Airbender, which they already identified because all the air nomads are dead. The last Avatar was supposed to be an Airbender. Last Airbender, last Avatar.
Makes sense, right?
And no one catches up to this until 20 minutes in the movie. Or something like that. Around that area.
Really, yeah, it takes them forever.
So, Katara and Sokka are just like, okay, we must help him. Seriously, there's no more emotion than that.
We're gonna start a rebellion and help all the villages along the way.
Well, we'll get to that too.
Oh, I'm sorry, am I jumping ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, basically Sokka has his moment of being like, oh, we'll finally stop the Fire Nation.
And like help people and stuff. And we'll go to the North Pole.
And then we'll turn into vampires. Okay, I'm done. So, they ride on Appa, which was impossible in the TV show because Appa can... Alright. Yeah. They get on Appa and they fly over to the ship. Aang... God, you see, we're gonna... It's so hard on us because he's Aang. He's our Aang, not Ong. So, Ong escapes Zuko in the easiest fashion because he's an airbender. Ooh. And we'll get a little bit more into the airbending once we get to the village of bad haircuts. So, bear with us. So he ends up escaping, and Katara and Sokka fly by. He jumps onto his bison, and they fly off in the air, and they're like, we're going to help you. And Aang's like, I have more exposition! I don't know bending yet! Or,
oh, no.
there's a temple nearby.
We should go there and
my family and friends should be there.
They actually don't even know his name yet, because when they get to the temple, she's like, what is your name? And he's like, the monks used to call me Ong. And she's like, oh.
I like that sense of identity. Like, I don't have a name, but people called me Ong, so.
The monks called me Ong.
Yeah.
So yeah, they spent God knows how long flying on the back of his bison. They never exchanged names.
They were probably just sort of looking at each other the whole time, like.
So, you fought some firebenders.
No talking unless it's exposition.
Oh, okay.
So they get to the Southern Air Tribe, Aang's original home monastery. Oh my god! Big shocker! Everyone's dead! Because...
And then he goes into his...
Aang hasn't been told yet that it's been 100 years, even though it's pretty fucking obvious, because we should have been told that, ever since he woke up. 2
episodes ago, yeah.
And Katara just realized it's been 100 years later, so, I don't know whether she was expecting to find any, air monks hanging around, but no. So they end up getting to the southern monastery, and Aang finds his old father figure, Gyatso, as a skeleton still in contact, like, a pure...
Well, I don't know.
Whatever. Beads attached, like, he just happened to come across his dying place.
Yeah, and then he goes all Super Saiyan mode and...
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, that's when, Aang's looking over his little pendant, and he goes, ah! I'm sorry. But, really bad. And then he just sort of levitates up, and it looks like, I must return to my home planet. My people need me.
And then
Katara just sort of shouts out, like, Aang! Well, we need you! We need you! Looking at the script. It's so bad. And that's all that happens there. Aang gets out of it, and they fly off.
He talks to the dragon, who's, I guess, supposed to be Roku.
The exposition dragon.
Yeah, I guess he's supposed to be Roku. I don't know why they decided to make him a dragon, but whatever, and he tells him some stuff like, hey, you should probably, learn the other elements, okay?
You don't get the fuck out of here.
And then Aang's like, alright, yeah, I should probably do that.
Okay. So, I think this is a moment where Zhao comes in, or...
Oh.
Basically.
Yeah, Commander Zhao comes
in. Zhao pops in, he sees Prince Zuko's boat, and Zuko's hanging out there on the deck like a dumbass because... The director told him to. And Zhao's like, let us invite them for dinner. And they invite him into this stupid banquet kind of thing. And everyone, we knew that the Fire Nation was under some pretty fucked up motives in the television show. But now everyone's wearing black in this movie.
Oh yeah, they're making it so evil.
Because black means evil.
Bet you didn't know that.
Yeah. So basically, they have the banquet, and Zhao calls Zuko out, like...
Oh no, he doesn't just call him out, he rips out his whole, dirty laundry. He's like, as you all know, Prince Zuko has been banished because...
This also counts as exposition, gotta cram in as much as we can.
Motive, exposition, all that fun stuff. He's like, as you know, Prince Zuko's been banished because he refused to fight him in Agni Ki.
Yeah, I'll be Zuko for this.
And he cannot return until he finds the Avatar, which we all know that is impossible, and he's not allowed to wear...
He's not allowed to wear our Fire Nation our uniform. So we will let him wear it tonight, like a child. So
and everybody's just kind of staring at him like, shit, dude.
So Zuko basically goes up to the guy. He's like, "I'm going to fucking kill you," like, and then he storms out.
Does that count as foreshadow?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
So, and then Iroh storms out anyway because he's ballin', and we're like, "See you, Dreads."
I think Iroh was M. Night Shenanigan's favorite character because he seems like
the one character who wasn't humiliated beyond all belief.
Yeah, despite his appearance and the butchering of his name, he's probably the only one that's closest to their actual character in the show.
Yeah, well, close enough as in he's not annoyingly terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not great.
Dreads. Dreadlocks! Dreadlocks!
But he's probably the only character that's anywhere remotely close to the original one in the series, so...
Yeah. So, the village of bad haircuts. So we get to the point where in the TV series they would reach the mainland and they come across this village taken over, well not taken over, but just sort of patrolled by Fire Nation. In the movie, they end up getting there and this horribly haired styled kid ends up coming over and just instantly hides behind them.
Which we found out was supposed to be Haru. It took us a while to figure it out.
And in the show, Haru is like a 16-year-old, like, hunk.
Yeah.
And now he's been reduced to this fucking little kid with dorky ass hair. And it gets worse.
Oh, it gets so much worse.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about this village. So in the TV series, the reason why they couldn't, that was so problem that they were, being patrolled by the Fire Nation was all the Earthbenders were taken to a metal prison.
Out in the ocean.
Out in the middle of the ocean, so they could not bend Earth.
Yeah, so our group gets caught here, and they get taken...
prisoner, I guess. But there's Earth all around them!
Yeah, so they get sent to this fucking... This, I don't know, what do you call it?
It's just
courtyard.
it's just like a little caged-in area.
Yeah, surrounded by rock.
You gotta
Earthbenders.
How do you do that?
Now, if you haven't even seen the series, you know that Earthbender bends Earth.
Manipulates Earth, right? Makes sense.
Logic, okay? So, the whole group gets captured here, and Aang ends up taking who was originally Katara's speech to free the Earthbenders, but no, Katara can't do anything. So Aang goes in and he's like, "You are a strong people!
Do something!
Do something!"
That's what they do. But it's not just that they do something, it's how they do it.
Yeah. So, the Fire Nation is basically, or the Fire Nation soldiers are just like, "Ha! What are you going to do? We have fire here because we can only firebend when fire's nearby."
Oh, yeah.
Oh no! Bam! Like, basically, some guy throws a rock. The first motive, like the first move. And then...
So the firebender attacks the guy who threw the rock, and he's just standing there like, no!
Yeah, and then
waiting
a
to
giant,
get in.
then the rock wall comes up. Now, we'll say about this, this was the slowest bending, the slowest martial arts we've ever seen.
Anybody's ever seen.
And let's get into the bending for a bit. Now, Shyamalan is under the impression that, to bend, or to use this martial art of controlling the elements, you apparently need to do the Macarena before, bam, anything happens.
It reminds me of Naruto when they have to do the...
Even in Naruto, that was a little bit more okay because in hand signals have been used in ninjadom for
That's
ever.
Where it reminded me, they had to charge it up and...
Okay, then yeah, that's where she does make the good point.
Yeah.
Shyamalan apparently was under the impression that by doing weird gestures of martial artsdom,
Especially with their hands.
allows you to unlock the spell, or to unlock the bending.
The power.
But that's completely wrong. It's completely just wrong. You could play D&D and know that is wrong! Like, they're not fucking wizards, but how bending should be is if being in control of your body well enough and being so in tune to your nature, your element, that, just by moving your arm, elements move. But no, in the village of bad haircuts, we have a group of 7 earthbenders doing a boy band routine all the way up to throw one rock. Like, who's to say that these guys are, like, really weak or whatever? But, God, it takes 8 guys to throw 1 rock in this village.
This village is pretty silly.
This is unnatural. This is This is bad. This is very bad. So
they free the Earthbenders.
Yeah, and then Aang is basically blowing people left and right, and then we get to our revolution montage, and they're freeing villages as they go, and Aang is sweeping people out of the village.
Don't talk about sweeping.
And yeah, Taylor couldn't let go that in these dirt hovel towns, which they could have actually made look like civilization. No, these dirt hovel areas that must have been put together in like a week. You know, some guy out front was brooming the dirt.
No, wait. Yeah, it's kind of like that part in Monty Python where you see the guy and he's in the river and he's just smacking the river with a stick. You're like, what the hell's that guy doing? This is the same. And they show him twice. He's just sweeping the dirt.
Yeah, some guy, the broom guy.
He's sweeping the dirt. What are you doing?
There's all dirt. There's no road. We're not making this up. There's no path. There's no road. It's just dirt everywhere.
Just sweeping the dirt.
Okay.
It's gonna be my new thing.
Yeah. The benefit of helping the village, though, the first village, the village of bad haircuts, is that Grandpa over here, who must have fallen asleep while his kids fucked up with his hair, thus the village with bad haircuts, because he's got, like, this...
It's really bad.
He's got, like, this fucking top knot thing going, and his side curls are all up in this bitch. Like...
It's a mess.
It's horrible, but I like it. It's very comedic of this town. I really do like making fun of the village of bad haircuts.
It's their thing.
So they end up getting a waterbending scrolls, and Aang, Ong...
Which, by the way, no pirates.
No pirates, like in the television show. There were pirates. Okay.
Gay pirates.
Gay?
They looked gay.
Shut up.
One of them was a crossdresser or something there, I don't know.
Okay. So, Ong and Katara end up practicing waterbending, and nothing is quite happening yet. So, Aang has the bright idea that if he goes to the northern, if he goes to the North Pole, where the northern water tribes are, he will learn waterbending. Yeah. And everyone else just goes along with it because the script says so, and they free villages along the way.
Yeah, they
start the revolution! The revolution!
Which nobody ever sees.
Pretty much. Yeah. Like...
And that's another thing, little things. Again, Sokka was one of those characters where he was like, fuck it, no, we got shit to do. We're not going to help every single people. I mean, they would usually end up helping somebody anyway, but he was always reluctant to it. Like, no, we have a task, we got to do this, we have to stay on track. And then Katara would be like, no, we have to help them.
No, but Twihard over here has a hard-on for just helping people, like...
I think he just likes the word rebellion.
Rebellion! Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Wolf's tail. Rebellion!
Yeah, his hair looked really bad, too.
It was horrible. Everyone's hair and costume in this movie was horrible. Like, given the cartoon...
I'm surprised they got it right that Aang was bald.
I know. I mean, given the cartoon, like, you had very basic costumes going, but these costumes in the movie were fucking disgusting. Like, they were just completely everywhere. You had the Fire Nation wearing, like, samurai armor and black, and you had... you know, ripped off Eskimos for the water tribes. And Aang was just sort of dressed in what looked like scrubs.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, like hospital scrubs, but really, like, made out of cotton and shit.
Well, scrubs are made out of cotton.
Okay. Along the way to the north, Aang gets a bright idea to meditate at another monastery, the Northern Air Temple. So...
oh, here we go.
He decides to go on his own, because going on your own during any adventure is probably the worst idea ever. And meanwhile, Zuko and Iroh in this movie, again, mispronunciation, they're hanging out at some fire village, and they're just sort of, you know...
chilling.
You know, callin' and ballin', if you will. Just, you know, like, seriously, Iroh over here is like, you know, you could totally get some poontang and settle down if I were you, and Zuko just has to go, I have to think about my father's honor! Just...
no, he goes...
I know, it's not like that.
He goes on this whole, of course, exposition of what happened.
With a flashback.
Which, of course, most of it was incorrect information. I won't get too crazy about that, but...
yeah, basically, how... he and his father and him, Zuko, not Iroh, I mean, Iroh, or...
whatever.
Zuko and his father had a misunderstanding, and they had to fight, and in Agni Ki, as mispronounced by the movie, and that's how Zuko has his facial scar, which you can barely tell in the movie.
Oh, speaking of the Fire Lord, so check this out. In the series, the Fire Lord is kept a mystery. He's shrouded in mystery,
until
literally.
the third season.
Until the third, because, you know, the building up ambiance, like, this guy is, you don't want to mess with him. He freaking burned his 13-year-old son and banished him forever until he does an impossible task. This guy's not messing around. He is a bad dude, and they just show his face, and he just...
Oh, and then this is the best part. After they already revealed who the Fire Lord is and what he looks like, you know, then they throw in this very cryptic scene of when Zhao comes in and the Fire Lord refuses to show his face to the camera, like they're trying to play up the mystery of who the Fire Lord is. You kind of feel like it's very out of place of when this was supposed to appear in the movie. Like, this is supposed to be the first scene.
It should have been anyway.
When Zhao comes up and he's just sort of like, Fire Lord.
And he does.
What's up?
It's pretty bad.
It's horrible. Yeah, so there's no fear with the Fire Lord, and he doesn't look intimidating at all.
Not even a little bit.
No.
He doesn't even have a crown.
Not really.
And like, it just makes it seem like Zhao is he's the Fire Lord's bitch.
Yeah.
Like, he gets every chance he gets, he goes to the Fire Nation and well, your son Zuko is doing that. And like, how does he keep getting back and forth so quickly is what I want to know.
Right, so...
I mean, he's his bitch.
Yeah. Zhao and Zuko are completely having this little giant... Pissing contest of who can get the Avatar first, and this is when they both clash. Aang decides to go to the Northern Air Temple to meditate and try to contact the Exposition Dragon again. Mm. And while he's there, he ends up finding this person. This old man who's just like...
hanging out.
Are you the last Airbender? And Aang is like...
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, don't worry, we'll get... And he leads him to the Hall of Statues, which was in the Southern Air Temple in the show.
Nerdum right there.
Right. And the old man starts talking about, this is the statue room where every Avatar was, and this is the last one, and you have come here after Roku. So Aang is just sort of... This is where we get to the problem about Aang, because he's just sort of looking up at these statues, and he's like, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, and they do this little flashback about when he found out how he was the Avatar. Mm-hmm. Again, completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it just avoids all emotional connection that you had with him. Like, he was a little kid, and they had to tell him, oh, by the way, the fate of the world rests on you, and if you fail, sucks. You know, which, again, I'm not saying is, you know, it's a pretty tired plot point, but at least you know there's some weight with it, you know. And Aang, that's why he runs away, is because he doesn't want to be the Avatar, not because he can't have a family or because he can't meditate anymore, whatever the fuck their reasons were in the movie, but the fact that he has this huge burden now.
Yeah, so they end up substituting that for every time you see Aang, it looks like he's about to cry. Yeah. I'm serious. He's always wearing this face of just like... like, Aang in this movie is like that awkward kid that you invite to your birthday party, and then he just has this weird crying look on his face, like he's about to shit himself, and you go over and you ask what's wrong, and he's just like, I don't know, and he just runs off, and then comes back later to enjoy the cake and party games. Like, that's Aang in this movie. He's wearing this pitiful fucking face the entire time. It's so... depressing. Like, Aang is supposed to be a happy character. He's supposed to be someone we like. We don't in this movie. So, of course, visiting the monastery. Giant trap. The old man was really, you know, in it for the money, and the Fire Nation storms in, they grab Aang, and then in a very BDSM fashion, chain him up from hands to legs in this room, and it's a little awkward.
It's really awkward,
because the kid is 12. And he looks 12.
Well, he's technically 112, but yeah, he's 12.
Fandom.
Shut up.
And then Zhao comes in and he's like, you are my prisoner. Or maybe that was Zuko's line. I don't care.
No, like, yeah, you know, he comes in and he talks about how, oh, you eluded us for 100 years, blah, blah, blah.
But now I have found you.
Yeah, and I'm going to rape you and stuff.
Okay, but not all is peaceful on this fucking night, because then we have the blue spirit coming in. And he's hiding underneath this tank, and...
Okay, first of all, this blue spirit...
What's with the wig?
Yeah, he looked like...
he's got this big old,
kabuki thing going on.
I was gonna say, 80s soul singer kind of thing.
Looks like Diana Ross.
That's it! Oh, I was so gonna say that. Okay. So yeah, he's got this big old black hair thing going, and he's sneaking in like a ninja, even though he climbs over a wall while everyone is, watching Zhao make a speech about how they're gonna be successful now that they have the avatar. He crawls up on the wall overlooking the people having this giant meeting, and just sort of crawls off to the side, and no one notices.
I mean, it'd be really hard.
Zhao is looking out into the people. He can look out to that wall and say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, did anyone see that?
What the hell is that?
What the fuck is this? Get him!" But they don't. So, the blue spirit sneaks in, and he beats he ties up the guards, also in a very BDSM fashion, to the ceiling.
Which we still don't know how he did that.
Right, and then just sort of knocks one of them out. Gets in, he frees Ong. And
you would think that he would put more guards there. You've
3 guards.
Avatar, bitch.
3 guards. That's
3
what it
guards.
takes.
That's it.
Yeah. And
shit.
Despite Aang's defeating look, he grabs his staff, and they go out and they have the giant action scene.
Which looks like
Which is really boring. And just before Aang is about to start fighting, he says almost to the audience directly, "This is an airbending practice field," or something of that like.
Yeah. This is being practiced.
Yeah, and we begin this whole action scene where he's blowing wind through wood, and you start to see how incompetent this fucking army is. They're all waiting on the outside of this giant ring with rotating wood boards for bending, and they're all just waiting outside
we should probably do something.
Waiting for their cue, and then, some of them come in, and then they're blown back. And then one guy is actually trapped inside, and he tries to get out, but then he realizes that...
He just can't! There's only giant gaps in between the wood, but he just can't get free!
And then he realizes that he's supposed to be after the Avatar, so he's like, grrr! And he takes his, this army is made up of, 2-foot-long swords. Seriously, you're working with, daggers here. And... they all get beat the fuck up by Aang, and the blue spirit is doing this horrible routine as well. No one's making any contact. No one's really getting hurt.
They're just kind of...
Oh, yeah. Just...
at each other.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. That was probably a better show than in the movie.
We actually touched each other.
Oh, yeah. So... he decides that before, Aang should just, instead of just leave this fucking place and be like, later,
peace out,
peace out, air out. Okay, but he decides to be a good guy and help the blue spirit for no reason, so he ends up
blue spirit gets shot in the face.
Yeah, they end up getting outside of the monastery. Blue spirit gets shot. Big shocker, it's Zuko.
Which, I was surprised in the show that
in the show it was done well. Here, not so much. Not at all.
And they don't really do anything with it. Aang, they go through the motions, he takes him away into the forest, and
then Aang just sort of hops up a tree and leaves.
But, they don't really, because it's more of a one-sided conversation, but they have this conversation, and he talks about how,
in the show, not the movie.
Yeah, how I think, we're all still human, I think we could be friends. And Zuko just kind of tells him to piss off, basically.
What? Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. But it's,
just a deep scene.
And at the time, Aang he's really confused. Why would this guy who's been hunting me, which by the way, in the movie, Zuko and Aang and gang never, other than the first scene, they never come into contact with each other again.
Yeah.
In the show, he's constantly chasing after him and fighting them and all this stuff, and that's why they build up this resentment to him, and so...
Oh, look, it's all sorts of wrong. Okay.
I'm just saying this is why it's so bad.
Yeah.
Know?
Okay, so we pretty much, this is at the point where we're about, I don't know, more than a half hour into this movie, and it feels like it's going on forever.
Yeah, well, it's 40 minutes.
Okay, 40, yeah. It was pretty much, we're halfway in the movie, but it feels like it's been an hour.
Yeah.
This movie is horrible for that. it's just such a big time waster. You're not entertained and you're not feeling interactive with any point because everyone is speaking in exposition. So I think everyone just sort of fast forwards to getting to the North Pole.
Yeah,
You know, this is when Zhao basically says, you know, we just found out that the Airbender is going to the North Pole. He hasn't learned waterbending, and we need to use my secret plan to defeat the water tribe of the North.
And the Fire Lord is like, yes, good, do that.
You know. So, they end up getting to the North, and the first thing you do is have Katara talk over what's going on. She has to dialogue, monologue, soliloquy, everything when they get to the northern North Pole.
Which, by the way, Princess Yue's hair in the first shot,
Yep.
totally looks like a penis.
Totally looks like a penis.
Like, straight up.
Yeah, so you get in,
Color
and
and everything.
The three are standing in front of the throne room, and you get this back shot of Princess Yue, who's this white-haired
You
bitch.
should put a picture of it up.
Yeah, and the back of her head
Totally looks like
a penis head, and her long white hair in the back looks like the shaft.
It's really bad.
It's bad. It's so bad, they noticed this, and they decided to
somebody
get...
does.
Yeah, they noticed this in the movie, got rid of it, and then for the rest of the movie, her hair is just down. Like, there is no more penis shape anymore. It was that bad. We could totally tell. So, and Katara dialogue's over, and so Sokka and Princess Yue fell in love, and whoop-de shit.
I guess.
Like, way to just sort of
And,
tell
you know,
us.
she's one of those princesses where, at least in the movie, that she doesn't have a father, but she's still considered a princess. You know?
Well, yeah.
Doesn't that... Yeah, you said that bothers you, right? Where...
Whoa, hold on. She had a father in the show,
in
right?
the show, yeah.
Okay.
But in the
Oh, wait,
movie,
no. Her father was the waterbending teacher.
Because they're like, oh, her father dies. So
Okay.
she ruled... Yeah, I actually paid attention.
Alright. Wow, you were actually paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, that does piss me off now.
Yeah, apparently she has no dad.
Yeah,
no Paku. I mean, we get a water training
montage.
But no sexism problems where Katara can't learn waterbending.
And Aang is still moping.
As usual.
And, you know, Sokka and Yue are off banging off stage, you know. We don't know! They're in love now! So, the Fire Nation is about to attack, so, they keep training exposition, and then the Fire Nation comes in and they rain black soot.
Which, by the way, because the North Pole is supposed to be this impenetrable fortress, but it takes them like 2 seconds to get in.
Yeah, pretty much. But before that, though, the Water Tribe is ready for arms, ready for action, and they all stand along the wall side, and their teacher, the water-bending guru, comes up, and he just sort of goes, "Oh!" And all the men in the back just start jamming their spears up and down, you know. Do, 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 do. And it's so awkward. You got the fucking leaders like howling and shit, and you got the rest of the guys jacking off with their staves in the back. Like, that was a cunning war tactic, but then the Fire Nation blows the shit up.
I guess it was supposed to boost morale or something.
So, meanwhile, before all this, Zuko had attempted to be assassinated by Zhao by having their ship blow
I
up.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way...
Yeah, Zuko almost got killed, but no one cares because he came out alright. In fact, he ended up hiding in Zhao's ship for the rest of the time while everyone thought he was
just
dead.
Hanging out in the boiler room.
You know, he was just sort of like eating rats and shit.
Well, and Zhao does more, because, you know, when he's like, oh, Zuko has been banished, blah, blah, he does the same thing to Iroh. He's like, oh, you're defeated, Ba Sing Se. He's just like being a total dick.
Zhao is so
Your
one
son
note.
died in that battle, didn't he? Like, fuck, dude.
And Iroh is just sort of like, whatever.
He just kind of takes it. He's like, yeah, he did.
Yeah. So Zuko goes white ninja like he does in the show and gets into the northern water tribe city on his own to try to steal Aang. And Aang, for the battle, needs to talk to the exposition dragon again. So he asks for a place to meditate, and Yue brings him to the northern oasis, this very warm tropical place where these two mysterious fish swim around it.
Which is probably the only thing they got right in the whole movie, like down to a T.
Right.
Probably the only thing.
Right. And then, so he sits down to meditate, and he just sort of, like, hangs out there for a bit. And Katara, you know, actually does something and says, I will wait for him. And as Sokka and Yue go off and bang in the corner again, you know, Katara's going off in this whole, Aang, we need you. I'm sorry. Ong, we need you. Please, don't give up on us. We all need you and everything. Not to mention, now this is we're kind of late on this, but the spirit realm in this movie looks like shit. There you've got like every light is reflected to full solar beam mode, and it's all shaky and it's all very like it's cheaply done. It's very cheap. Like you're just going throughout one of the sets, like a very forested set with hanging lanterns. And just sort of bluing everything up.
Which I could totally tell they were made out of metal.
And the CG dragon looks like shit. So he's just sort of saying, you know, he's guiding the movie as we go along. And he basically says this last time that, Aang,
stop being a bitch.
Ong, stop being such a pussy. You know, get over your people. You know, let your feelings go and you will master waterbending. Look to the ocean. Makes sense because the Fire Nation are floating on water, so...
What beats fire? Come on.
I don't know! But, no, because the Fire Nation, they have catapults, and that's how they get their fire in, and of course, in firebending, you have to have a source of fire. You know, you can't just create fire out of nothing, that's witchcraft. Until, you know...
Iroh just stabs a bitch in this. Alright, the Oasis.
So, Zuko comes in, and he's just like, I'm taking him. And Katara's like, the fuck you are! And, and then, so, Zuko's just like, fire! And Katara's like, water! And Zuko's like, fire again! And Katara's like, water again! And Zuko's like, I have a cunning plan this next turn.
And she's like, oh no!
Fire! Fire! And Katara's like, water! Shit! She gets beat the fuck back against a tree. It's actually pretty funny. And then Zuko comes in, takes Aang out. You know, you are fucking helpful, Katara.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Aang is still in his little...
He's still in meditation in the spirit realm.
This one, Zuko has his little...
Yeah, Zuko, for some reason... Yeah, Zuko goes up, like, they hide out in a storage... some storage room, and Zuko goes into the window, and he's just like... I've always hated my father. He's always liked my sister better. It's weird. They play footsie at Thanksgiving, and one time my sister thought that he was in the room, and she was only wearing a silken robe. It was strange, but whatever. We have a very strong hate against Azula, but we'll save that for another day.
Which, I mean, he does do a monologue, but it's just the way...
Anyways, everyone is fighting outside, and you can probably tell by now, no one is dying in this war. Everyone is still doing the, like, no one's dying because they instantly get up. Actually, there was one fight included where they were combating, and then one guy falls over, and then he pulls him back up. Like, the guy who was trying to kill him just pulls him back up. I'm like, I'm not done with you. Go over here. What the fuck? Back to the story, though. The amazing story.
Oh yeah, thrilling story.
Aang finally wakes up after being told to, you know, man up by the exposition dragon, and he and Zuko have the longest fight scene in the storage room, and Zuko shows up to be a complete idiot because
really incompetent.
He is duped by the I'm behind your back but you can't see me trick.
Which I think was their really, really sad attempt at trying to be comedic. Like, they had a few moments, like, at the very beginning, Sokka got trapped under Appa's tail. Ooh. But, like...
And then Sokka got frozen in water. Ooh, funny.
But it, because he would just be like, Katara! Like...
Okay.
So, Zhao goes into the Oasis.
Right.
Fucking figures out, oh, if I kill this fish, it'll fuck up the waterbenders.
Oh, he must have said, like, 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to the ancient library. I know that the spirit of the moon and ocean is in the northern water tribe oasis. And if I killed the moon spirits, we would become powerful, and the waterbenders, they would have nothing. And that's what he does.
I guess he didn't go to science class because Iroh points out, yeah, dumbass, if you kill the moon spirit, we're all fucked. And he's like, eh.
And then Zhao just has this look on his face of like he doesn't know what the fuck to do. He's got the moon spirit fish in a bag, and he's just like, and you know, it couldn't be simple enough to just sort of take the bag and beat it against a rock, or just open it up and take a bite out of the fucking fish. But no. He ends up taking a knife, kills it, and the moon goes red, all hell breaks loose. Everyone stops fighting for just a moment.
Yeah.
Just to look. Like,
everything's red.
Like, this is combat, people. This is the real fucking war field for anyone out there. And...
Sure enough, Iroh decides then he's gonna do something, and ooh, he can bend fire without a source of fire!
Yeah, the Fire Nation soldiers just sort of look at him and just run, like, oh shit, he can cast fire!
Yeah. Which apparently was a mystery to everybody, I guess.
Alright, so Moon Spirit's dead. Yue, being born by a miracle of the Moon Spirit, sacrifices herself to revive the Moon Spirit, and we all know where this is going. She goes into the water, she dies, Sokka cries or performs some kind of emotion over her dead body.
Sort of.
And then we get back to the battle. The moon's back to normal. And Aang is ready to just bring hell upon the Fire Nation. So this is what he does. In order to scare off the Fire Nation, he creates a giant wave and lifts it up high above the Northern Water Nation tribe, whatever walls. And everyone gets freaked the fuck out. The Fire Nation that are inside the city are just like, oh no! And they try to get out, but they can't because there's water. And everyone out on the boats, the battalion outside of the city is just sort of like, fuck this! And they sail off. Along with Zuko and Iroh, who are just in a raft.
No, we forgot about Zhao's death.
Oh, no, we'll get to that.
Yeah, but Zuko and Iroh were back in the city.
Oh shit,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well anyway.
Sorry. So, Aang ends up scaring them all with a giant tidal wave, and then puts it down.
He doesn't really do much with it.
Yeah. So we're on to Zhao. Now, he basically gets the fuck out of there, and Zuko's not far behind. He comes up, and Zhao puts on this very weird, strange pose, or kamae, like...
It's like... No, it's really the fingers, yeah.
Yeah, just like...
The whole time.
Yeah. And Zuko's about to, like, fucking kill him, like, just burn the shit out of him. But Iroh comes up and he's like, no.
No, we're better than that.
He's not worth it.
Let's peace out.
And they walk off. However, though, things get worse, though. Now, in the cartoon, Zhao dies by the giant water spirit avatar state that Aang is in. But in this case, in the movie, 4 water tribe dudes come up to fuck him. Like,
no, dude. They... You know, like in the movies, you know, the woman's in the alley, and then there's guys walking up, and they trap her, and you can just know that somebody's gonna get raped.
Yeah, Zhao is standing there, and these 4 guys come up, and they give him this look like, we're gonna make you squeal like a piggy. And they all, like, he tries to cast fire at them, but they repel with water. And then they all gather this giant water ball, capture Zhao, and drown him.
And then they just...
And then... Zhao just drops to the ground, and they're all like, let's get the fuck out of here, like, before the police come. And that's Zhao's death. Iroh and Zuko escape, and everyone is happy, and there aren't anyone dead, and they all bow down. Even the Fire Nation bows down to Aang as their lord and savior, as the Avatar speaker to the spirits.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the movie. And it all finishes on Aang doing this very weird bow of, like... So, that's the end of the movie. Oh, except there's trailer bait. The Fire Lord is just looking out of this window and... Menacingly. He doesn't have a beard, though. But
he should, but... Yeah,
menacingly. And he says, I can only trust you to do this task. Oh, will you not disappoint me? and then this crazy girl, like, this crazy girl just looks up and she's like, yes, father. And we all know that that's Azula, you know, frickin' Ozai's love child and Zuko's horrible younger sister who's better than him in everything, and she's the sequel. Movie ends by M. Night Shyamalan. So...
Oh, you know what? One thing I forgot to mention pretty early on was that, so Katara, or I can't remember who, but somebody explains early on that the Fire Nation basically started this whole war because they're upset that the spirits keep everything in balance. Wasn't about imperialism or...
It wasn't about domination. It wasn't about the fucking Fire Lord going nuts and becoming the Phoenix King.
Nope. Just because they were pissed off about the spirits.
Nope.
You know, pretty...
They are the mother race.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just sounded really childish and stupid.
Man, this movie was pretty fucking stupid. You'll have parts in this movie where you'll want to, like, literally, I was beating my hands against my knees on how bad this was. And even the deleted scenes won't help. We saw a couple one. We saw we saw one where they bring in one of the Earth tribes, suspiciously full of dark-skinned people. African-Americans. Of course, they're all Earth Nation, though. Yeah, but, you know, not playing into stereotypes here. And, you know, they actually try to pull off this very comedic moment with the fortune teller, and she's pulling the whole, like, you know, she says that she's a prophet, but she's just guessing around, like, you want to talk with a monk whose name starts with a J, no, an M, or a G. A G, I knew it the whole time.
She goes through like 5 of the letters.
Like, after seeing this movie, I'm actually okay to this. I'm actually like, oh please, this is such bad comedy. I love it. Please just give me more. It's personality. And then it turns into exposition. Literally, she gets possessed by the exposition dragon and says, if the Fire Nation were to control the world, everything would be fucked.
And then Aang's all like, again.
Okay, this movie. Watch at your own risk.
Please don't.
If you're gonna watch this movie, please do so out of comedy. Don't take anything in this movie seriously.
Don't do what I did and actually
care.
Gonna be good. But it's not.
Right. Go into The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan, released in 2010, with a very closed, shut down mind. Like, you're gonna have to turn your brain off for this, because if you're one of those people who have to rant about Thor not being true to the mythos of Norse mythology, this is gonna piss the shit out of you. I will tell you that. So, yeah. Watch the animated series. Take that into your heart. Let you hold on to that, because at least with the animated series, even The Legend of Korra, they try so hard and they know just how it works. M. Night Shyamalan doesn't. This was a big failure of his, and he hasn't learned from it. He really hasn't. Yeah. And I swear he was one of the soldiers of the Fire Nation. Like, I think it was in the Village of Bad Haircuts.
Well, you know, and as we were thinking about this, there's a part in the last season where right before they have the big battle, all the characters go to see this play. And the reason why they go is because they find out that there's this guy went around the world to find information about the Avatar, and he wanted to make a play about it. And so they're like, oh no, this is a really bad idea. But they're like, no, let's have some fun. Let's do this. And so of course they go, and the play is, obviously it's in the favor of the Fire Nation, because that's where they are in the 3rd season. But it's of course horrible acting, and
the
plot,
story is completely wrong.
Just details are just horribly wrong. And then that's what this movie is.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the original series, this is what The Last Airbender is to you.
It's the Ember Island players.
Exactly.
They just, it's like M. Night Shenanigan just watched that episode and he's like, oh yeah, I can do this. This will be alright.
Seriously. So please, just, if you're gonna waste time doing this, please do so with a bunch of friends and possibly booze.
You can make a drinking game out of it.
Pretty much, yeah, you can. Every time Aang does his
crying face.
And every time, actually, if it was every time someone said exposition, everyone would be smashed by the first 15 minutes of this movie. 15-ish. So, Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. What about you?
I don't think I can say much more. It's just...
She's really hurt, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you guys want to see more of me and my lovely wife, who she does exist, I'm not lying, you know. Hard to tell, I know.
He's just really concerned about his hair.
Everyone should be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Joe Cassidy, and this is Mrs. Cassidy, or Aroach. We gotta choose a name. What will you be? Okay.
Why are you gonna bring that up?
Well, again, send us a request next time and maybe we'll do it. We'll catch you guys later.